Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, to the channel IT Simplified. In today's session on Azure, we are going to look into what Azure Advisor is and how we can utilize this to our advantage. Like always, if you're liking these sessions, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content. So let's start with this question, what Azure Advisor is. Now, first of all, this is a free service from Microsoft. And as you go and deploy your Azure resources, it will make recommendation based on 5 pillars that Azure associated with, which is cost, security, reliability, operational excellence, as well as performance. And think of it like as if it is your personal consultant. And in order to access Azure Advisor, you can be owner, contributor, reader, and this access can be at the subscription level, resource group level, or even at the resources level. But let's look into the 5 pillars that we talked about. So as I said that it is based on security, it will make recommendation based on security, your cost, reliability, which used to be called high availability before, operational excellence, and performance. And let's try to understand this with some example, right? So as I said that as you go and deploy your resources, there might be implication based on all these 5 different pillars. So say for example, if I have a storage account and if I have not enabled encryption, it will fall in the security. Even something like MFA, if I have deployed an app service and I've deployed an application gateway, and that application gateway, as you know, can be deployed with WAF and without WAF. So if I have not deployed with web application firewall, there's a security implication for the application which are sitting behind application gateway. So all these will be compiled under the security category. Similar to that, we also have the cost vertical, in which if I have deployed my machine within pay-as-you-go, and I can definitely make use of reserve instances to save on the cost. Even saving plans will be helpful for me. I can also maybe configure some sort of automation. If I know that I won't be utilizing these services during specific time of the day or during the week, I can switch them off and restart that. And even things like, for example, when you go and implement reserve instances, by default it is renewed on automatically. But sometimes there might be a case in which you have unchecked that box. So if that box is not checked, it will also make a prompt here that your renewal of RI is not set to automatic. So it can drill down to that specifics also. So this can be all categorized under the cost component. And then you have the reliability, right, which, as I said, that used to be called high availability. For example, if I have deployed a VPN gateway, as you know that there are different tiers of VPN gateway you can use. You can pick maybe basic, you can have a GW1. Now, in case you have deployed basic, it's going to make a recommendation that you should upgrade to a production SKU. Something maybe GW1, GW2, or even with the GW1 with availability zones option, because they are definitely designed for production environment and they should be deployed in an active mode. So in case on the Microsoft side, there is some sort of update going on, it can move the traffic to the another tunnel and your services won't be impacted. So that will fall under reliability, right? And some of the other services or another recommendation that can fall under the reliability is that if I have an, for example, hybrid kind of deployment, and have deployed, say for example, Azure Arc, and I've onboarded the machines from on-prem, as you know that you need to deploy an agent, and this agent needs to be updated, right? And it will make sure that it will make recommendation if that agent is not up to date. So this all falls under the reliability. Some of the other options, which is going to be over here, in case I'm utilizing unmanaged disk, it will make a recommendation that I should maybe change it to a managed disk, because obviously it has lots of benefits. So this is all part of the reliability. Now coming to the operational excellence, some of these implication that I won't typically consider is that, say for example, if I have multiple subscriptions, right, and if I am an MSP, it will ask me to maybe implement Lighthouse, right? And as you know that with Lighthouse, from one interface I will be able to manage multiple subscriptions. That's an advantage of that, right? If I'm not utilizing maybe Azure Policy, and as you know, Azure Policy helps us to even standardize our deployment across regions, across different applications, across different resources. So definitely it will make recommendation on that I should use maybe Azure Policy. And if I'm not utilizing maybe Azure Monitor to monitor my resources by deploying maybe a log analytic workspace, it will also make recommendation based under this category. This all will be part of the operational excellence. And then finally, I have the performance, right? And under performance, some of the things that comes to my mind is that if you are utilizing maybe standard HDD storage, right, and it is utilizing maybe it's not giving you the right performance, it will ask you to change it to a premium tier, which has better IOPS and better throughput. Some of the machines that I have deployed, and as you know that with some of the high-end machine, I can deploy that with accelerated networking. And if I have not enabled, it will also make recommendations on that. And another example that I can think of is that if I have deployed an AVD and if I have an host pool, and most of the users, say for example, they are accessing that from India, and I have deployed that host pool maybe in Australia, the users, they're not going to have a good experience. There's going to be high latency, so it will make recommendations or will make suggestion to me that I should maybe move that host pool in India rather than being in Australia. But these are all the different vertical across which Azure Advisor will make recommendations to you. And it can give recommendation across different services. You can go through the Microsoft recommendation, but some of these services that comes to my mind are your maybe Azure SQL, Postgres, Cosmos DB, your virtual machines, your storage. You know, it's quite a list, but it will make recommendation across all those services. And because it's a free tool, I will say you should definitely have a look at it. So with this, enough of theory. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to flip over to the Azure portal, and let me show you where you can find this service. So with that, let me just flip over. So as you can see, I have the owner access to this subscription, and I'm going to go and search for Advisor. And this is the first interface that gives me, and you can see that I'm under Advisor score and my score is 88%. So as you go and implement the recommendation made by Azure Advisor, your score will go up. And in this interface, you can see that I can go and filter it to a specific subscription, specific resource group, right? And I can look at the commitment level for 1 year, 3 year, and I can go back, say for example, for the look back period, I can go all the way up to 60 days. So you can always tweak these properties here, but let's start with the blade on the left side. So if I go and click on my overview button, this gives me a clean interface across all the different verticals we talked about: cost, security, reliability, operational access, as well as performance. I have the getting started button. I have already touched upon the Azure Advisor. As you can see the score, I can go and expand each different vertical, or I can go and look at the all recommendation also, in which all the recommendation across all these 5 verticals are compiled under one interface. And you can also drill down into the recommendation across all these different verticals. You can see you also have the monitoring, but let's look at the settings and the configuration. I'm going to click on this. Now in this case, I only have one subscription with the name Azure Plan, but if you have multiple subscription, you can have a look at all the subscription. But if you want, you can also drill down to a specific resource group if you want. So if you don't want to have the Azure Advisor to look into each and every resource group, I can go and filter from here too. But let me just go to VM right sizing. And here I'm going to select my Azure plan and I'm going to edit it. And you can see by default, the CPU utilization is 5%. So if your machines which are running in your subscription are utilizing your compute less than 5%, it will obviously generate some sort of alert. But you can always tweak this. You can go all the way up to 20%. So I'm going to change this to 20% and go and apply here. So you can see successfully modified the configuration. That you can do that from the setting tab. Now I can also go and generate alerts. So if you go under monitoring, this is in preview, so certain things might change. At right now, I don't have any advisor alert rule, but I can configure the notification. I can also configure the action plan. So I can pick my subscription. I can pick this against the resource group I want. Right, I can configure it by category and impact level. Right, so based on different pillars which we talked about, and the impact level, if you want, it's definitely optional. And I can also pick against the recommendation type. Right, so should I increase the size of the machine? Should I include the encryption maybe? So you can tweak it accordingly. I'm going to skip this. You can also specify the action group. So say for example, if I go and click on create new, so I can specify the action group over here. So same way, I can pick my subscription, maybe my resource group here, right? My region. I can give my name for the action group. I can also specify the notification I want, how I want to get notified, right? I can ask them to email me or SMS me. So I can provide my email maybe here. If I want, I can also ask them to SMS me. I can click on OK. I can give a name for the notification here. And I can specify the action type. Say, for example, I want to maybe shut down a machine that I'm running, so I can attach that with some sort of automation runbook, right? I can use automation runbook right from the built-in library, or I can create my own. And as you know, that to run an automation runbook, you need to have an automation account. And I can pick what I want to do with that automation runbook. I can restart the machine, stop it, scale up and down, or totally remove the machine, right? So I can say that, okay, let's stop the machine. And I can pick my subscription. In this case, I only have one in my case, and it is asking me to create an automation account, which I don't have. So I can create it from here too, right? Or if I have existing one, it's automatically going to pop up over here. But this is how you can also configure the notifications. So I'm going to come out of this, right? But let's go to the advisory score here, and let's go and look at some of the recommendations which are being made for my subscription. So you can see I'm under the cost vertical, and there are two recommendations which are made. One, it is asking me to have a saving plan. I can make a saving of 1358, and the other one is to buy reserve instances. So right now I'm running everything under pay-as-you-go model, but it is saying that if I change it to reserve instances, I can make a saving of almost $4,000, right? So let me just go and expand this. And if I go and scroll down, It gives me the subscription name under which, recommended quantity, what kind of recommended actions are there, and potential savings that I'll make by changing that to reserve instances. And this recommendations is based on a 3-year term. As you know that you can buy reservation for 1 year, 3-year term. And the look back period I've done is that is 30 days. You can go all the way back up to 60 days, right? I also have this option of postponing or dismissing it 100%, but let me just go and see what's the flow if I go and expand. So I'm going to pick the first one because that's where I see the maximum savings. So I'm going to go and expand my Azure plan. And you can see it can also drill down to me on the specific machines that I'm running. So I'm running for this DS3 version 2, I'm running IAS server and NBU ITS, and it is under the specific resource group. And it is asking me to purchase or reserve instances. And just remember that the subscription that I'm utilizing is for testing purposes only, and I have these machines, they are not being run on a regular basis, right? So it might differ for your subscription, maybe which is in production environment. So I can go and purchase. So if I can go, so just remember it was DS3 version 2. So if I go and expand this recommended action, it picks DS3 version 2 here, right? Now in my case, because of the policy, the reservation purchase is disabled, but it has its built-in intelligence that it knows that Azure Advisor is recommending a specific machine over here, which is DS3 version 2. The region, it is in Canada Central, and the term, and obviously I want the billing frequency to be monthly. I don't want to pay that upfront, which is also an option within RI. So that's definitely great. I'm going to close on this and go back to my advisory score. And if I go further expand this, you can see that you can also apply for other things too. Like in this case, I can go and pick this recommendation here. Now this is for a different virtual machine with a different resource group, but at least you get an idea. So this was under the cost category. Similar to that, I have the security category too, under which, for example, for the SQL Server on machine, I should have the vulnerability finding resolved, right? And one thing I just want to point out, that Azure Advisor also get recommendation from Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And Microsoft Defender for Cloud is also comes in two flavor. You get a free flavor, and it also comes in a paid version. And it used to be called the Security Center, which they have rebranded as Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and Azure Advisor closely integrates with it. So you can see that it also take the input from there. And you have, say, for example, if you have not enabled the MFA, if you have not enabled the endpoint protection on your machines, it is asking you to do that. There is also some quick fix option. For example, for this, Microsoft Defender for SQL Server should be enabled for unprotected SQL Server. So you might have seen this quick fix button also within the Defender for Cloud, and that is where it is coming from, right? So you can do that too. You can force it. You can also exempt it maybe, but that can be also applied for here. And as I said, that as you go and implement all these different recommendation, your score will definitely go up. So this was security. Similar to that, I had the reliability too. So in this case, say for example, it is asking me to enable the cross-region restore against my recovery service vault. As you know that this is, I won't say that this is a new feature, but you have this option of implementing cross-region restore. So in case something happens to a primary region, you can spin up those machines in a secondary region, which is typically a paired region within Azure deployment. So this is a recovery service vault I have, right? I can go and expand this, and I can go and enable right from here the cross-region restore, which is definitely a good idea in case I want to maybe fail over my machine to a secondary region. So all these will be part of the reliability. So very similar to that, I also get recommendation that I should have a NAT gateway for my outbound connectivity. I also have the operational excellence, right? And this, it is saying that I should be using an Azure Monitor based alerts for my backup. which is another advancement from the backup perspective, and it is specifying against the recovery service vault I should be utilizing. And it is also saying that I should be also utilizing maybe Lighthouse to manage my subscriptions, which gives me a single pane of glass to manage multiple subscriptions. Now, in this case, I can definitely ignore this because I don't have multiple subscriptions. So I'm going to ignore this, but this is also generated as part of the operational excellence. And then you also have the performance. In my case, I don't have anything under the performance category, but you get an idea, right? So you got cost, security, reliability, operational excellence, performance, all within the one view that you get across Azure Advisor. And you can tweak it, or you can apply filters to get access for specific resource group, specific subscription. You can drill down to to those levels too. I will definitely recommend to have a look at this one because it's definitely a free service, and it can save you a lot of money if you are utilizing your resources under the pay as you go. You can transition yourself into RIs or to a service plan. And also from the security implication perspective and overall improving the operational excellence and performance of your resources, this is a great tool. So this was a quick overview on how you can utilize Azure Advisor. Hope you found this useful.